Diana Tsai, founder of Upwage. How are you?
Good. I'm great.
Hi, I'm Clark Willcox with Purple Acorn Digital Recruiter, and now we're going to talk about Upwage, and why don't you give us a breakdown?
Yeah. Well, I mean, AI agents, it's what everybody's talking about all these days,
Yeah.
right? But ours are special. They decrease turnover.
How are you special?
They decrease turnover.
Well, I love it. How did the show AI agents is like
Yeah.
the buzz term,
Yeah.
right? And it's incredible what AI can
Yeah.
do. Like all things can be a double-edged sword. So,
Yeah.
but you founded this before kind of AI burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
So like, I guess I'm interested, like, what made you start this before we all found out about AI?
How did you know that? That's amazing. That's like a little known fact that we essentially founded the company before GPT exploded on the scene.
I just looked at your LinkedIn.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it all started. So I'll say this: like Greg, my co-founder, and I met in the military recruiting space almost 8 years ago.
Okay.
He was at LinkedIn running veteran recruiting. I was building out transition programs, mentoring digital platforms to focus on supporting transitioning veterans. And so employment's always been really top of mind for us. We care about it a lot.
Yeah.
But specifically, Greg was doing his PhD in AI and labor markets, and that was 3 years ago. And we were constantly talking about like, oh my God, there's a coming jobs crisis. How are we going to handle all this? So our thought was, well, the only way to combat the disruptive impact of AI is actually with AI itself. So we need to build an AI safety net for the workforce.
Yeah.
But this is before agentic AI, before all of this. So that's where we started. And eventually we ended up in a place where we're like, okay, now we're building full life cycle agents to support companies, to drive turnover down, to improve performance, quality of hire. And I was just doing a talk on this really around how everything is about the job that you deploy AI to do. And we get excited about jobs that don't involve replacing recruiters. Like we find that to be the dumbest use of AI ever because it's the lowest ROI use case.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I cut my team by 5 people and therefore saved the company $500,000. I'm like, how about if we deliver you $16.8 million in turnover savings? That's like what we like doing with AI.
Yeah.
And we need the recruiting teams to support us in doing that. And so it's really been awesome. And I think ultimately where it all translates into is the thing I was talking about on stage is like, right now, global job seekers are spending about 2 trillion hours looking for jobs, which is totally insane. And it's just getting worse because it's like job search time has increased from 5 months to 6 months. And so in my mind, every time we help a company decrease turnover, every time one of our amazing recruiting teams figures out how to optimize their hiring funnel through our agents, they're literally compressing the amount of time job seekers are spending on the market and dramatically improving a situation that frankly sucks right now, like major jobs crisis on a global level. So that's what we do.
I love it. Well, there's so much like doom and gloom around AI, so it's so refreshing. And you always, like when we met, back at EORE back in April, like you always just have such a wonderful energy and such optimism around all this. So you're giving me hope just hearing this. But like in the weeds, like you're talking about the turnover savings and everything else. Like how should companies be thinking about whether it's leveraging your software and all that? Like they're thinking of replacing people, but like in terms of doing for turnover, like what benefits are you seeing that have with companies, with these departments, from the domino effect of what you're able to implement?
Well, so it really all is in the math. Like it's all in the math. And so that's why we're so ROI driven. So I would say this, like time savings is where there are tons of different vendors here, right? Yeah. Time savings is where most companies are focused right now. But from our perspective, like we've deployed across 40 industries, about 14,000 agents, and the most impactful ROI cases are actually when you can impact quality of hire down funnel. And the way you do that is so we have these advanced behavioral interviewers that are competency and skills driven. We actually benchmark them to high performers inside roles or high retention candidates or high retention employees. Yeah. We take all of that top of funnel and we're able to essentially create a higher quality of slate that's offered to hiring managers and recruiters. So that's why we end up having agents that can actually cut turnover from top of funnel. And now, actually, over the next quarter, we're deploying new agents that are cutting into, we call them like employee success agents. So the employee success agents check in on you 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And they're just like, how's your relationship with your manager? How are things going? How can we support? So there's that element of preventative turnover that you can cut into immediately. And then we also have exit interviewer agents that we're now deploying to capture all the reasons why people leave. And then we essentially take all those reasons and feed them back up to the top of the funnel to our interviewing agents. So it's full feedback loop.
Super cool.
Yeah.
How do employees react to this? I'm sick because I've heard of like AI screening tools, right? Yeah. Where candidates are talking to AI and, it's like 24-hour screening and all that. And I know there's a wide variety of feedback on how people interact, but what do you see as like the reaction with employees to interacting with AI agents?
Yeah, there's a lot of so here's the reality. right now it's pretty much all or nothing. It's like you receive no support, especially in high volume roles.
Yeah.
No one's checking in on you.
Yeah.
No one's actually seeing like how are you feeling about your team, your manager? Or do you feel equipped for this job? Did we actually put you in the wrong role? Are you at risk? There's a care, and that simply is not deliverable at scale for most large businesses that are hiring at this kind of volume. So really the reaction is, whoa, this is the first time someone's even asked if I'm doing okay at my new job.
Yeah.
And no one would usually even be able to. So I think that's why it's so powerful to have like, it's counterintuitive, but AI when deployed correctly actually makes processes much more humane in a lot of ways. And that's really the use case. And so then the key thing is bringing those insights, that the intelligence that agents can generate back to the recruiting leaders and the HR leaders to be able to then action. Because that's been the key thing. It's like, what do you do with all this intelligence? And so we actually have another layer of agents behind that are doing analysis. So they're all the assessment analyst agents that are interpreting the data to help make it more clear. Because in the past, you run an exit interview, do 1,000 exit interviews, and what do you do with that data?
Right.
Like, it's like, I don't know. In our case, it's like, well, we've got agents on the back end that are figuring out how to parse that data, how to make sense of that data, and then you feed the insights back up top funnel.
Super cool.
Yeah. It's fun.
I've been seeing the same thing with our own team, kind of leveraging it, making me realize I think I need a demo of your product.
Yeah.
But as we kind of talked, you mentioned 40 different industries.
Yeah.
What's like the type of client or company that gets the most value out of working with you?
Companies that are growing really quickly or facing a lot of turnover. Yeah, growing really quickly, because we oftentimes, our agents are used to expand the capacity of TA teams. So I was on stage with a really good friend of mine, Metropolis, Chris Hawk. He's the head VP of TA there, and they use our AI agents to essentially extend the ability of their very core super team of TA recruiters to serve a decentralized hiring model where they acquired SP Plus. SP Plus is like 20,000 employees. And so as a small team, they needed to be able to extend their capacity. So high growth companies, AI is really good for high growth companies. The other is super high turnover, high volume. Very, very key. And generally I think those are the two spaces where we see. So healthcare, retail, a lot of like global footprint expansion or location expansion. That's where you really see a need. Yeah.
And we'll go back to your talk. Like, what did you cover just now on stage? And why that topic?
Yeah, I was talking about why 95% of AI pilots fail and what we can learn from the 5% that succeed. And I mean, we've had our good deal of failures too, so I cherry pick lessons from the 5% that actually work. But yeah, MIT rolled out this study a couple months ago, and it was like 95% of AI pilots don't even hit the P&L. And I synthesized it down. I mean, it's like a 20-page report, so there's lots of reasons. But the synthesis of everything in my mind is because most people are not starting with why. Like, why are they using AI? And it's just because, well, everybody else is using AI, therefore I should be using AI. My CEO says I should use AI. Yeah. But this is like the equivalent logic of saying like, well, everybody else is hiring, so therefore I should hire. Or like, hiring's cool, so we should hire people randomly. Like, this does not make any sense. So a lot of what I was focusing on in the talk is identifying the most powerful whys and the biggest business cases to run AI transformation against, and how essentially what happens then is you not only empower your TA function to become growth drivers, revenue drivers, turnover, cost-cutting, capabilities, but you're actually protecting the TA function from the false, actually, story that the best use of AI is to decrease headcount. I think that's literally just like one of the most toxic stories that currently exists. And it's very, very dangerous, because we've actually seen that the most ingenious and the most impactful deployments of AI have nothing to do with that. It's actually all around how you can deliver business outcomes that were never, ever possible in the past. Yeah.
I completely agree. That's what I'm seeing with my team, hiring intangibles. People that are sponges is what I've been looking for, because internally we can leverage AI to soak up more knowledge, more wisdom, more experience, and like empower them even more to kind of run with things. And it's so much more than just me trying to do it all myself.
For sure.
It's just been seeing them, how they leverage it, and the balance of that. They're now doing things. I'm moving into roles that we didn't even talk about. I hired them 5 weeks ago. And they're kind of taking on a completely new job description 5 weeks in, because of the way they took in like AI, the knowledge, the learning that we have, like the one-on-one meetings. But they're like rewriting their job description. And 5 weeks ago, I didn't even know that they could be capable of that. I thought it might take 6 months. And I think that's the cool part. So now I'm like, well, how could I add more people with this same funnel? So I completely agree. I'm in my own little small world, like seeing the same exact thing. So it's just kind of how you think about things. Right? Kind of view the market. So I got to ask, so you started this before everything came on the scene. ChatGPT was what, March 2023-ish? I
Yeah.
feel like that was the big. So what happened there? Like, did that change things for you, or what
Everything.
changed
Everything.
for you in terms of like you're building this thing and
Yeah.
now like, okay, this is everyone knows about it
Yeah.
now. What was that like? Yeah, what were some of the changes?
Roadmap got accelerated by like literally a decade. So
Wow.
like, because Greg and I, we wanted to build a universal interviewer from
Yeah.
day one. And the universal interviewer, we had this crazy dream of essentially like what happens if you replace job boards with a single AI that you could speak to that was connected to every single other job, and it could essentially get you interviews. So cut through the application bullshit, the black hole, and just get you straight into interviews. So we had this thought like, oh, in 10 years we'll be able to build this at some point. We'll
Yeah.
have enough data. And so what happened is once OpenAI came out, we were like, Greg and I looked at each other and we're like, holy crap. We think we can build everything we were dreaming of building in 10 years next year. So we
Yeah.
just accelerated everything. We literally trashed our entire code base, started over, and just built a Gen AI native platform.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is crazy. We could skip all the steps in between now. That's what changed. It was very, very cool.
Still catching up on sleep from that year.
Oh, I don't even sleep anymore. Man. I don't know, but no, yeah. I mean, I do sleep. I try to.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it is just crazy how quickly everything changed. And now it's been a couple years. What do you think the next 5 years are going to bring with AI
Yeah.
and all this? I mean, for Upwage and just in the market in general, what do you think people should be considering and kind of looking out for the next 5 years?
Yeah, well, so my co-founder and I, we think in waves. So we have a book, AI for Good, that sort of looks at what 2030 will look like. And so when I think about the next waves of transformation coming, we usually do an exercise every like 3 months or so where we're predicting the market, and we just see how accurate we are at figuring out where the market's going. So the wave we're in right now is like, we call it agentic infrastructure for hiring full life cycle. So this is where AI agents are overlaying on top of the entire HRTA life cycle. The next wave that is emerging is around predictive intelligence and decision making. So the key thing here is that we've essentially entered like a permanent employer's market, because there's always going to be now more candidates than jobs at this point. That's what we're seeing. And that's just a result of AI, automation, robotics. As much as the news cycles are like, oh no, jobs are not being, it's like, you can see that there's 30% unemployment among new grads, like jobs are at risk. And so what that means though is that many job seekers are going to be entering a market where they are not skilled or ready for the reality of that market. So therefore, everything is about predicting what jobs look like in the future and reskilling and redeploying talent now with AI. So that's wave 2. Yeah. And then wave 3, we'll get into a whole different thing. But it's really around like, we call it like there's a phase that's coming, which is we think universities are collapsing, which they already are. But essentially the reason for that is the social contract between students and universities is broken. The thing in the past was you go to school and you get a job. If you're going to pay $50,000 and not get a job, no one's going to school anymore.
Yep.
So who's the new school? So we think it's employers. It's companies are going to become the new school, because in between was always the mechanism. Like that's the colleges. So in that world, then it's super interesting. There's so many AI applications and agents that you can use to essentially create pop-up universities for companies.
Yeah.
So one of the use cases that we're most excited about is essentially transforming candidate pipelines, where you're not going to hire 95% of the people who apply. So why don't we actually just upskill everyone into future roles? This is what I think is super freaking awesome. We're very excited about that.
I love that. The upskilling, I think, is the
Yeah.
word. And that's the takeaway. Anyone listening and watching is
Yeah.
like, how can I make myself better?
Yeah.
Right. And there are so many ways to do that now. And I just think it's super cool. So I appreciate you sitting down, sharing
For
your
sure.
story. Great to see you again.
Yeah, you too, always.
And so, and now that you've done speaking and everything, you can go enjoy. So
Wow. In the blistering.
in blistering heat, I know we got to get out of the sun.
Yes.
So again, Diana Tsai, founder of Upwage. Make sure to check her out. You can do a demo if you're learning about AI agents. So until next time, y'all.